meet my bride. Let's go for a ride in my newfangled automobile. Just where we will go, nobody knows, but it's sure a great way to feel. Behind the wheel of the speed meter steel, it's my newfangled automobile.
Hello and welcome to Vintage Car History. I'm Wild Bill. And as a young boy digging into vintage car history at the local library, I was always fascinated at the stories being told. Not just the stories about the cars, their specifications, and what they and their drivers accomplished, but also about the people that created them. And some of my favorite stories involve the classic rags to riches theme. The story of someone that came from humble beginnings to build fame and fortune in the automotive world. And one of my favorites, the kind I'd read before bed, was the incredible tale of Herbert Austin. He was born in Buckinghamshire, England in 1866 into a farming family. His father got promoted to a supervisory position when he was 4 years old. And the family moved to Yorkshire, and young Herbie spent the next 14 years working with his dad on the farm. He was, however, getting a bit restless, and when he heard one of his uncles was heading to Australia to work in farm engineering, he took off with him to find his fortune. Once in Melbourne, he quickly began to tinker. Herbert Austin was a natural-born engineer, and his mind was constantly moving. He was 21 when he got his opportunity. He got a job working at a machine shop that was building a new kind of sheep shearing device for their client, the Wolseley company. Well, Herbert looked at the design and figured out some problems with it and some solutions. Mr. Frederick Wolseley, the client, got wind of this and hired Herbert Austin to head up the sheep shearing operations at his facility. This was 19th century mechanized farming. Belts, wheels, pulleys, and of course sheep were everywhere, and the wonder bug hit Herbie. He immediately began to see ways to improve the whole operation, the shearing process, the power methods, moving of wool, you name it. But Herbert was no fool. As he invented new devices and methods to implement, he first patented them. Armed with the patent, he would go to the boss and, for a small percentage of the company, would implement it. He did this enough times that by 1893 he owned 20% of the company. Now a full partner, he and Frederick began to have some discussions. There were a couple of issues at hand. Yes, it was true that their company was very prosperous, not only with their own sheep shearing in Australia, but more importantly as producers and sellers of sheep shearing equipment. However, sheep shearing is seasonal, and there were months at a time with little to no business. At the same time, most of the raw materials they needed to make their shearing stuff was imported from England, and that was cutting into profits. And so, later that year, they relocated the Wolseley Company to England, setting up headquarters in London. One of the first things they did was to begin manufacturing bicycles along with their sheep shears, which helped to offset the seasonality of sheepish things. In the following year, Frederick retired from the company, leaving Herbert to lead the company with the board of directors' approval. By 1895, there already was quite a clamor going on in England to repeal the Red Flag Act. Though it wouldn't actually happen for another year, many Britons of the time simply took their cars to the continent to drive them. Until the act was rescinded, there was even a small industry of garage leasing in France, Germany, and Belgium, and elsewhere, catering to English automobilists. Herbert sensed that this was going to be the direction of the future and, with the blessing of the board, began to figure out how to make cars. Now, Austin had never designed a car himself before, but he had seen them in his travels. One that inspired him in particular was a tri-car made by the Wolseley Company, and his first design was very similar. A flat twin engine, kind of like an old BMW motorcycle engine, 3 speeds with reverse driven by chains. The following year, he designed a new single-cylinder engine, and this model remained in production as the Wolseley until 1899. It was in this year that Herbert designed his first four-wheeled car, and it was a beauty. 3.5 horsepower single-cylinder engine, 3-speed gearbox driving the rear wheels through chains, and it was just very well designed and built. Geared for hill climbing, this car was designed with the Australian outback in mind, having one of the most efficient engine cooling systems of the 19th century. Indeed, the car took the overall silver medal at the 1900 1,000 miles trial and first prize in the small car class. And it will take many more episodes to go over the extraordinary career of Herbert Austin, and we will get there. The many more cars he designed at Wolseley, the company that he founded afterwards that bore his name, his knighthood, his peerage. Let's just say for now that there's many more bedtime stories to tell about the Right and Honorable Baron Herbert Austin. Thanks for watching Vintage Car History, and we'll see you next week. Peace.